If you're an idiot, you might think that Frozen was just a heartwarming animated musical. Well, buckle up, pal, and consider the possibility that Frozen was a darkly sinister smoke and mirror project used to distract the masses from the previous Google results displayed for searching Frozen Disney, namely Walt Disney's horrific preserved corpse hidden underneath the Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disneyland. So that's an actual conspiracy. Now, although it may be horrifically funny to imagine Walt Disney waking up and being confronted with this, there's no evidence that his corpse was actually frozen. But here's a fact that's even more insane and actually true. Hundreds of people worldwide have had their dead bodies preserved at extremely cold temperatures with the intention of resuming life in the distant future. Sounds like science fiction, but could it actually work? Cryonics is a field of science focused on preserving people's corpses in liquid nitrogen at extremely low temperatures. And it's also a surprisingly lucrative business venture worldwide. For instance, US company Alcor offer a potential second chance at life for the rather hefty price of $220,000. Alternatively, a meager $80,000 to freeze just your severed head. For the presumably digital world of the future. Though it's worth pointing out that both of these options will leave you more out of pocket than the budget alternative of just drinking a load of antifreeze and hopping in the freezer aisle at Iceland. The basic premise of cryonics is that if you're frozen for long enough, by the time you wake up, there will probably be a cure for whatever initially killed you. And the appeal is understandable. Everyone who doesn't work in finance dreams of immortality every now and again. I mean, the idea of you dying isn't very pleasant, is it? You dying forever. But here's the issue. Cryonics also involves a process called vitrification, basically filling your dead body and brain with antifreeze chemicals to prevent ice crystals forming, a process neuroscientist Clive Cohen of King's College London calls ridiculous, arguing that the process of infiltrating every tiny area of the brain's tissue with antifreeze while somehow protecting that same tissue is impossible. In other words, the process of preservation might cause the same damage it was designed to prevent, leaving these frozen people in a medical state I like to call particularly unfit for the afterlife. And that's why Cohen himself is calling for a complete ban in the marketing of cryonics. To be fair, even Alcor's own senior medical advisor puts the chances of anyone successfully waking back up at around 15%. So why do people still have hope? Well, some studies have shown potential promise. In 2015, scientists trained a bunch of microscopic worms to react to certain smells, and then suddenly froze them. After then reviving these probably extremely confused worms, they still remembered the smells. So okay, maybe your memory can survive being frozen if you're a worm, but I'd wager that you're probably not a worm, and most human brains, bar some internet celebrities, are much more complex than worm brains, and can't currently be revived from a frozen state. What cryonics teams are really banking on is unforeseen advancements in technology. They point to scientific developments like the moon landing and organ transplants that were once thought of as completely impossible, arguing that one day we'll be able to restore people's brain functions long after they've died, even if the idea seems silly today. For instance, using future technology to reverse the damage of the antifreeze chemicals. Now personally, I'm unnerved by the idea of comfortably resting through thousands of years of death sleep only to be woken up as a mostly brain-dead monstrosity and the 3,000-year-old equivalent of an ultra boomer. But hey, whatever floats your boat. Like many wacky areas of science, it's impossible to say with certainty whether cryonic revival will ever be possible. And it's probably best to avoid the giant can of philosophical worms with "would you even be you after waking up" sprawled all over it. Of course, for all I know, this video could be being watched in the year 8000 by a group of smug severed heads, strapped up to computers, laughing about people's lack of belief in cryonics, remembering how weird people look with legs. The only thing we know for sure is that if you have boatloads of unspent money and don't mind the possibility of waking up after death in what may be a hellish existential nightmare, you can, in the year 2021, have your body frozen. And I say, why not? After all, it's not going to kill you.